Welcome to the Kotak workshop. Today's project, we've got this really rather lovely carver chair that's had a bit of damage to it and has suffered a bit of a break. So we're going to have a look at it, see what we need to do and get repairing. Hope you enjoy.
What have we got here, Toffee? What have we got here? Right. We've got this, So the main piece of damage we've been asked to fix is here. This is broken. And this has been repaired many times before. As we look in here, we can see, well, first of all, some sort of epoxy, and then somebody's put a spline in, and there's a join there, a join there, and a join there. So this section here has been replaced, I think, because if we follow the grain around here, you can see a join in here, and there's been quite a lot of repairs there. And further up, this is split before and been glued and patched. And then across here, there's a diagonal that's been put back in. If we lift the seat, you can see the telltale signs of epoxy or araldite that's been glued. You can see the split down here. It's certainly been repaired. So, lovely shield shaped back, and you got to repair this part here. Normally, because it's floating completely, the only other place it's supported is here. Normally, I would open this joint up and then take this off here and then be able to do what the other person has done. But because this is glued in, and I think glued in there, I don't think that joint's going to come apart easily. Which means I'm left with somehow having to get into the wood here and clean this up. Look in there, look at that. I've got to clean up, get rid of the old glue and put in some new. Okay.
This is going to be fun. So this chair comes from a lovely house, which is a large dining room and is used extensively and has been for many, many years. And this sits at the head of the table. There's one at each end, hence a carver. But perhaps as the evening wears on, or as people get more comfortable and relaxed, they lean back and the chair then breaks. I'll take that there. Interesting numbers there. Now you can see this oval design here. It's it's a shield shape. You can see the shield shape, and that means it's only supported here and here, and it's got all of that weight coming through this two small areas. So clearly it's a weak spot. It's had multiple repairs, and what I want to do is scrape out some of that modern glue that looks to be in there, but leave the spline in place. I've really got to scrape off all of the old epoxy, because I probably will end up using epoxy again, but epoxy on old epoxy is not going to be as strong. So if I can get some nice wood fibres, see there's not a lot of surface to get purchase on for the glue. Now this will not be as strong, because there are so many weak parts and so many cracks. I can probably scrape a little bit more off there while I see it at this angle. You've got to work relatively fast with this stuff. You do have a bit of working time. Now when it dries, I want it to be tilting slightly forward. So put not a huge amount of pressure on, but I want it. Well, we'll let that set. It's going to be slightly bumpy and chipped just because of the way the wood has split. But I want to do is get as much bonding surface as possible, then sand it down, get it shaped, and then get it stained. So let's see how that dries. Right, welcome back. It's the next morning. The epoxy that we put on has dried, so I'm going to take it off and have a look and see how we can get on. I'm going to need to carve out that space in there to follow that line up. To show you what I'm doing here. So we're just getting the contours again. Just running my finger, my thumb along the edge, and you can feel where there's excess epoxy on the outside and where the actual join is, so we'll get that nice and smooth. So what can we see? We can see what this wood's going to look like when it's got a bit of stain on it. You can see the spline repair. There's a little bit missing there. And it certainly feels like it's a good join, but it's such a weak design. I don't think there's a huge amount of strength left in this chair. I could do this with wax as well, which I may end up doing, but I actually want something to sand off against. That's quite smooth. I don't want to put anything at the front because it's more visible, but just to deceive the eye at the back. Right, we'll leave that to dry and come back, sand off the bit of wood filler, and then be on to staining and disguising. Well, it's the next morning. It's a bit colder today, so got a jacket on. This is now dried overnight, so what we want to do is sand that down, get it nice and smooth, and then we can start getting some colour matching and some finish on. Let's go. What's really interesting is you can see, I think that's the original way that this was made, and that's original on this side, but then it's been replaced here as well. So original design but replaced, and there's that other join up here. Or is it actually how they made these? Somebody will know. So this is wood dye, it's rosewood. So I'm expecting this to be fairly magical. Here we go. Look at that. Fantastic. This is going to work out. So the good news is I didn't have to put new wood in, which would be more difficult to colour match, and it's a quality piece of wood that's in there, and what we really want to do is just hide our additions, but by putting the wood filler in and then sanding it down, we've actually made life a lot easier at this stage. Now that will dry matte, so it just gives you an indication of what it's going to look like, and we need to get to a much richer finish. Oh my goodness me, there's another repair or another piece of how it was made. I don't know if you can see this. I'm blocking the light there. There. Down there. This piece. Is it on the other side? Maybe it is. Curiouser and curiouser. I want to darken it slightly. If you can see that. Repair and restoration at this point is all about deceiving the eye. So that piece that we just saw or discovered, our eye was deceived before. The join was there, just the way the finish is applied meant your eye isn't drawn to it. What we're trying to do is blend in the new with the old. That essentially is the game all restorers play. So when that dries, it'll be more matte, so we'll need to put some shellac or lacquer or finish on. It's always at this stage that I do too much tinkering and should just slowly. I want to build up layers, I want to build up depth, and we don't want drip marks. Right, we'll stop there and we'll just leave it for a bit. Okay, now that that's dried, we want to get some shellac on there to start building up some layers. So this is just shellac that I made up. Okay, this is 7,000 grit, but actually you can use the back, so I'm just using it just to smooth any slight tiny nits. It's looking really good. So I'm going to use the rose gold, rosewood, light mahogany, cherry, honey oak. I could go for the dark one, but I think this is quite nice for this. We'll leave that for 20 minutes. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes and I'm now going to just take a nice soft brush and start buffing everything up. So here's a style, the Hepplewhite chairs, of which this is a reproduction version of it. George Hepplewhite died in 1786. Despite the familiarity of Hepplewhite's name, little is known about him. So there we have it, fully restored, repaired, polished, reproduction, Hepplewhite style carver chair. Just because it's reproduction doesn't mean it's not old. Obviously it will always have a weakness in the design, but it's now ready to go back for another round of nice meals and family gatherings. See you next time.